Today I want to make a suggestion, a very interesting suggestion, of the two most powerful words that someone can say in the universe. Well, some people might be saying that these words, I care, are powerful. Others might be saying these words, I love, are powerful. I agree with them. But when it comes to making a change and making a revolution, see, the words I care and the words I love are a subset of something in the core, something that is the foundation upon which those are built. When you say, I believe, that's the most powerful thing to say. That's the most potent thing to say, that anything that follows it defines your life, defines whoever has said it. And I'm going to demonstrate this to you in a while. In today's episode, we are talking about this subject, the two things we must do to change our inner game. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
If you have followed the story of Apple, how Apple has become one of the most, actually the biggest company in the face of the earth, maybe it was the first company to hit the $1 trillion mark. But Apple was going down some time back. Apple was actually being faced with the competition from the market that they were in, from the niche market that they were in at that moment in time, probably with poor leadership and so on and so forth. Apple was going down. And then they had fired their CEO and founder Steve Jobs, who had gone to form another company called Next. And then he built Pixar. If you've watched these animations from Pixar, the man behind Pixar was actually Steve Jobs. Now, Steve Jobs comes back to Apple, and in a short while, they start churning out top-range productivity tools, and they start churning out these high-end devices and these high-end machines that wowing people. Do you know one of the biggest advertisements that they did was to use those two words I've told you? I believe. They said, we believe. If you can read one of their statements, in fact, if you can go to the internet, and you can look up Apple's statement or Apple's purpose statement, you'll be amazed that those two words are in there. They say, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in making things differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. This is a paraphrase by Simon Sinek, telling the essence of Apple in their belief statement. These two words, I believe, are one of the most powerful words that you can be able to use, not just in speech anywhere, but in your very life, your very definition. I believe that all of us should have these statements in our lives. When we say, I believe, what can we say that follows after that? If you've listened to me on my podcast, very many times I've used those words. I believe from the core of my heart. I believe from the bottom of my spirit. I believe with my eternal being. I keep saying those words, I believe, and then after the belief, I say exactly what I stand for. That defines who I am. That defines what direction I'm going to take with my life. And one of the sorriest things you will see today is people lacking those statements, people lacking those two words in their definition. Ask someone, what do you believe in? They will think you're asking them a religious question. This is not a religious question. This is a spiritual question, because man is a spirit. All of us are spiritual beings, and we must have something that we're believing in. Listen, I don't care whether you're an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian, a Muslim, whatever it is, you have a belief system. That belief system is not useless. Everything you do is going to be centered around the belief system. True or false? It's true. Whether you're a believer or an unbeliever, you've got to understand that you have a belief system. Your life, the success, the failure, the stagnation, the regression, the opportunities you will get, the way you will exploit your potential will be based on how you identify yourself with this statement, I believe. So my question to you at the onset is this: what do you believe in? What is your belief? When I challenge you to write 10 statements starting with these two words, I believe, what are you going to write? And is it going to be something that you really believe in, something that is really coming from the core, the deepest recesses of your mind and of your heart? We are talking about the two things we must do to change our inner game. Why is our inner game important? Because it determines our outer game. There's a book actually written called The Inner Game of Tennis, which says that the enemy that is outside is not necessarily as tough as the enemy that is inside. In other words, the inner game must be sorted for the outer game to be perfected. If you believe you're a nobody, there's actually a saying, not necessarily a saying, there's this story that is told. I don't know if it's true or false. There's someone who was captured behind enemy lines. And this guy was given two options. One option was to go through a door that was marked Untold Horrors. The other option was to face a firing squad. This man's choice depended on this man's belief. What did he believe? He believed that the door marked Untold Horrors is worse than the door marked Firing Squad. Guess what he chose? He chose the Firing Squad. Promptly in the morning, the general of that company that had captured this man executed him in a firing squad, depending on his choice, depending on his belief. And they moved on. Later on, a curious young cadet asked the general, "Sir, what was behind the door marked Untold Horrors?" The general said, "Freedom." So on a daily basis, our belief systems, for the most part, will determine the choices that we make, and our choices will form the life that we are going to live, whether we like it or not. Belief, the inner game. There are two things that I want to discuss today. The first thing is your belief system. What do you believe about success? What do you believe about your chances of success? What do you believe about life? And what do you believe about your contribution, your impact, your purpose here on the face of the earth? See, if you do not have any inkling of what your belief is or what it means to be here on earth, then the kind of life that you're going to live is going to be directly proportional to that belief. I think the worst things that we can see on the face of the earth is to see a human being who doesn't have a belief for anything. I know in 2 or 3 episodes past, we talked about a human being who doesn't have a hunger for anything. And I think next to that is a human being who does not have a belief for anything. You see, this belief thing works either negatively or positively. You can believe that, you go to heaven when you kill people, and that belief will make you do crazy things, even to your daughter, even to your mama, even to your dad, because of that belief. So belief is a very extremely powerful thing. And you cannot afford to go on in your life today without having a belief. What do you believe in? What is your belief about money? What is your belief about relationships? What is your belief about people? What is your belief about kindness and care and love? What is your belief about the economy and the universe and so on? What is your belief? Where do you stand? What is inside of your heart? When you say, I believe, how many statements can you say after those 2 words? There's a guy called Tom LeBlanc who said, since beliefs are thousands of times stronger than desires, we must believe we can do something more than we want to do it. Let me say that again. Since beliefs are 1,000 times stronger than desires, we must believe we can do something more than we want to do it. In other words, our belief should be stronger, much more propelling, much more leading us than our will, our wishes to do it. The inside, that's what I was talking about, the inner game, has to be a strong thing. And we must have that belief fortified. If you're a Rotarian, I think one of the things that you can do is to test your belief against the 4-way test. Is it true to everyone involved? Is it fair to everyone involved? And all those things. In other words, the belief that you're holding true in your heart and in your spirit should not be something that is detrimental to another human being, detrimental to nature, detrimental to the laws of the land, and detrimental to integrity. But believe something pure. There's some guys who believe that crocodiles must be saved. And I know I've given this example many times. Crocodiles must be saved. And they go all out to make sure that is done. There are some guys who believe that it is okay to kill babies through abortion. And they go all out to make it funded. There are some guys who believe the opposite, that you cannot kill babies. And they go all out. See, beliefs normally will have action follow them. Beliefs, actions emanate from one belief or another. Desire. If I desire to do something, yet in the deepest recesses of my mind, I don't feel anything, I don't have any belief for it. I believe for a fact that I will not even make it if I go for it. Then that belief is going to determine my action. It's going to trump my action. It's going to trump my desire. It's a sobering truth. You can be in Harvard, but if you believe you're stupid, listen, you're gonna be stupid. I think one of the things, belief normally comes in traditional ways, and it also comes in an artificial way. Traditional ways is just naturally very interesting. If you grow in a Christian family, you become a Christian and you believe in a Christian way. If you grow in a Muslim family, you do the same. If you grow in an atheist family, you believe the same. So it's a kind of nature that is coming out of it. But also belief, we impute upon belief on ourselves. That's another way, as in we decide, we choose. We decide that from now henceforth, I'm believing this. I believe God doesn't exist, like Marty Sampson did the other day. From now on, I believe I'm losing my faith. And his actions from that moment on, he lost his marriage, separated with his wife because of the belief. He is holding that belief strong. And it's making him make decisions that consequence to that belief. So there's going to be the belief that is going to come naturally. There's going to be the belief that you're going to make a decision, a conscious decision. And I believe that you can be able to make those conscious decisions to change for the better. That's why I always say we all have a starting place. We all have a clean slate. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the 1st of January every year is one of the most powerful moments of the face of the earth? Of course it is. Why? Because at that particular moment, psychologically, we are all given a clean slate, something to start afresh. And now we engage our belief systems. We say, this is the year. I believe this is going to be my year of kicking the bucket as far as smoking is concerned. This is going to be my year of starting to live healthily. This is going to be my year of behaving well for the sake of my wife and children. This is going to be my year. Beliefs are always going to be chosen. But then again, there comes a point in time when a belief is imputed on you by something traumatic happening to you. For example, there's a story I read in Les Brown's book called Live Your Dreams. He narrates about a story of a man called the Chicken Man. Something happened. This man was sleeping with his family and then a fire broke out. And he jumped out of the house and for some reason did not save his family, and his 2 daughters, if I have the story correct, were incinerated in the fire. And so he calls for help, and his uncle, the uncle to the kids, comes, and he comes to the scene and he sees the man dazed, and he starts beating the man up. Once he knows that the kids have been incinerated, beating the man up and calling him, "You are chicken, you couldn't save your kids, you are chicken, chicken, chicken." And at that particular moment in time, something happened to this human. He no longer spoke any word other than doing clucking chicken sounds. And from that moment on, he was called a chicken man. And the beliefs sometimes can come to us through those traumatic experiences. You get divorced and a belief system comes into your mind that I will never get married, I will never be able to hold a marriage together. Or probably you cheat on your wife or you cheat on your husband, and a belief system comes that you're damaged goods, you can never rectify your mistakes, and you can never rectify your sins, and you can never be a good person, you can't even serve God, and so on and so forth. That belief that is formed, whichever way that belief comes, either through natural progression from your environment, or through you making a decision, conscious decision, or having a traumatic experience, let me tell you, that is going to shape your inner game. So it is absolutely important that you stop all traffic right now and ask yourself, what is inside of you? What do you believe? What are you believing in? Are you believing anything against yourself? Are you believing anything for yourself? Do you know subconsciously we have some beliefs that are contrary to what we want? Do you know subconsciously sometimes we believe we cannot make it until we do? Sometimes we have this unconscious, unaided, unsaid, unuttered, unworded beliefs and written beliefs that recklessly are ruining our lives unbeknownst to us. You can fly your child to the most prestigious school, but if that child secretly believes she is stupid, she will not make it. That is what happens. So the first thing that we need to do is to find out, what do we believe for ourselves? If we don't have that, it's time to manufacture those beliefs. And you're going to do this not in a big bang. Like I told you previously, I don't believe in the big bang. There's nothing like the big bang. It's going to take some time for you to start forming good, healthy, strong beliefs. And it will take you to win some battles. It will take you to go after something relentlessly. building momentum consistently, and then have some victories under your belt, and then the belief system is going to start being fortified. See, the other thing about life that is going to affect your inner game, your inner performance, is what values, what are the things you cherish so much in your spirit. People cherish values such as hard work, such as integrity, such as consistency, such as purpose, such as momentum, such as care, kindness, such as excellence. And those beliefs, those values determine their actions, their activities. If you look at, I've talked about Apple, they have their values. Remember the story we read about Steve Jobs, who said, there's a time Steve Wozniak, his partner, was trying to just jumble up things inside a motherboard of a computer. And Steve Jobs was livid. He said, why can't you organize that thing neatly in there? And Wozniak said, we're going to block this thing, we're going to lock it up, and nobody will know how weird it looks inside. Steve Jobs said, no way, I will know. So you must do the right thing in there, put it in order in there. That was a belief, and that was a value that Steve Jobs heralded. And let me tell you, there's a cult of the Mac, so to speak, and these Apple enthusiasts and Apple raving fans, they do that because of the belief and the values that these guys hate. See, values will define who you are. And I don't believe there's any human being who does not have values. We all have values. Values define who we are. The values will determine what we will attract in our lives. Values will determine what we will dispel from our lives. They will determine where we will go, where we will not go, what we will do, what we will not do. They will determine what we will champion and what we will stop championing. I'm willing to bet that at some level, all of us are operating with values in the subconscious, just like I've said, we all are operating with beliefs in the subconscious. We just need to know what these values are, and we need to bring these values to the fore, to the core. In fact, we need to have written values. Have you ever gone to an organization and the first time you see them and they have their vision, their mission, and their values over there in the board or something? Why do organizations do that? Because those things define who they are. Most successful organizations are that way because of these intangibles, the belief system they have, and the values that they espouse. So we need to get that done. We need to start reflecting. Personally, at the individual level, our inner game is determined by our beliefs and by our values. We can use several questions to determine what values we're going to espouse, but we should not. See, we need to come to that level where if someone met you on the streets and they asked you, tell me about yourself. How are you? Who are you? You're not going to tell them your names. My name is Lawrence and I come from this place and that place and I have a degree in this. No, you're going to tell them what the inner game of your life is. I'm Lawrence. Man, I'm so passionate about purpose and productivity and resilience, and I live my life based on making people to come to realize that they are gifted, they have potential inside of them, and every last one of us, including the madman out there in the streets, was meant to be a person of value. And when I introduced myself to someone like that, they are taken aback and they're like, whoa, that man is intense, that man is on a mission. But when I say, my name is Lawrence, I have a diploma in management information systems, I've been really trying to get jobs, and man, it's not been easy. It's been, the economy is not so good. And so in fact, for us guys who do not have degrees, we are even in a worse off situation. See, when it comes to values, it matters less whether you have a degree, a diploma, a certificate, or you never went to school. I'd rather have a guy who has belief system in them, a strong inner game, and it's alive and they are pursuing it, than have a man who has a PhD and masters in several things and they have no belief, no values, no inner game. I will select, my friend, without battling an eyelid, I will select the man with values and the man with beliefs over the man with papers anytime. So if someone waved a magic wand today, and if that magic wand will 100% or even 1,000% increase one of your values, what will that value be for you as an individual? What will that value be? You need to have an answer to that question. For me, I will choose compassion. I'm telling you, compassion is what propels me. And by the way, people think that this is just woo-woo and it's so spiritual, and organizations do not really need to have compassion. Let me tell you, the military, the guys who are fighting, they have compassion, and that's why they are ruthless. Business people, they have compassion, and that's why they are excellent in serving their customers. If you lacked compassion I'm being passionate about my own value, but I'm not saying that everyone should have that value, but I'm saying, if I was to wave a magic wand just like this, and any one of your values is going to increase 1,000 fold, what are you going to select? You better select a value that is important to you, that comes from your heart, not from the dictionary that you've read. Okay? Now, if you are to teach your children about values, what 3 things will you emphasize on? Okay, for me, of course, it's going to be value. Be a person of value. Alright? It's going to be about purpose. It's going to be about prayerfulness. If you are to be asked this question, what do you hate the most? That's your inner game, by the way. Did you know that there are some things you hate? I hate disorder. I hate things that have not been done excellently. I hate people occupying positions and not taking full advantage of those positions. I hate people not being fully engaged at work. Alright? So for you, that determines my inner game, which means that I show up in life to exemplify these things, the opposite of what I hate. What values do you see to be valid 1,000 years from now, after we've had these technological advancements and so on and so forth? What do you think will be valid 1,000 years from now? Those are questions that you can ask yourself, and they can give you an inkling of what kind of values you have in your life. Your inner game is going to determine your outer game. How you believe, what you believe, the things that you cherish, the things that you value, are the things that are going to determine the kind of life that you're going to live. So it's high time you stopped all the traffic. And I know people normally look for qualifications. Oh, I want to be qualified in this, I want to be qualified in that. A few episodes back, we talked about the 7 deadly detrimental philosophies in the modern job market. And we say that people are always looking for academic papers at the expense of values and at the expense of their beliefs. That's why someone comes to your interview room and you interview them and you ask them a question, and you cannot, for their life, you cannot associate them with any value. Let me tell you, when we're hiring people, we are looking for people who have some fire inside, some people who have some inner game, some fire going on inside of them. Because fire normally is contagious. We want some people who we don't have to breathe life into you so that you can be able to work. We want some people who are always self-starting, self-motivated. You cannot be self-motivated without a value that you cherish and without a belief system. Your belief and your values do not necessarily have to be in line with the organization that you want to serve. It's just the fact that you have a belief system, that's good enough. Just the fact that you have a value, that's good enough. You don't have to copy and paste the values that you've seen in an organization. When the organization says that they cherish integrity and excellence, you don't go and tell them, I'm a man of integrity and I'm a man of excellence. No, tell them what is genuinely authentic from your spirit and from your heart. Probably you cherish about compassion, you cherish about children. Tell them that. They're not going to send you away. They're going to respect you. Let me tell you, the world respects people depending on how they appear. The world addresses. When you show up into this world with clarity, the world responds to you with clarity of a nature. If your clarity is about purpose, the world is going to respond to you with purpose. If your clarity is about compassion, the world is going to respond to you with compassion. So your inner game has to be elevated. The problem we're having in the present society is that people are just drowning their inner game. Hiding things to do with what they cherish, what they love. They think it's woo. They think people will laugh at them. They think they don't matter. They matter. See, you are not going to land into a perfect job the first ask. So you don't need to be schizophrenic and shape yourself, to reflect an organization all the time that you're going for an interview. Be yourself, but at least have an inner game. Identify what your inner game is, in and out. Make it a passionate cause, a passionate decision to make sure that your inner game is identified. Well, I think this should make some sense to you. And I think this is something that we all need to do. Well, thanks for listening, and we're going to continue in the next episode. For now, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.